do apologize for that noise, but look at that moon. Is that moon not beautiful? The moon for E.T.? No. Hotel Transylvania 2. Huh. But, my friends, don't let that fool you. We are here at this event for one reason and one reason only. It is truly all good in the hood, because we are here at a screening of my all-time favorite movie, E.T. the Extra-Terrestrial, and take a look at that crowd. Look at that crowd. Fellow fans of my favorite movie, and I am quite proud at this very moment. And I'm also proud because the lead star from E.T., Mr. Henry Thomas, is here, and I just met him. Let's go have some fun. Yeah, let me start filming by hacking up a lung here. Okay, let me just put this in perspective. You know, many of you know this. For those of you who don't, for me, E.T. is not just a movie. Okay, this is not just another vlog, but E.T. is not just a movie. E.T. is the reason why I have a YouTube channel. It's why I do videos. It's the reason why I write screenplays. It's the reason why anything that I do creatively, E.T. is the reason for that. Now, for many people, that movie that inspired them to be creative is Star Wars, or it's, you know, whatever it is. Usually it's Star Wars, but what I'm simply saying is E.T. is the reason why I do what I do creatively, why I do this. So, just wanted to put that out there and remind you guys how much this means to me. This means a lot to me. And gosh darn, you know, this is in Pasadena. This reminds me of how badly I do need to come back to Pasadena, because there are so many movie locations here in Pasadena. For example, I mean, look at those hills, look at those mountains. Can you see those mountains right there? Look at those mountains. Look at all that up there, those mountains. But that's not what I'm talking about when I say movie locations. What I mean by movie locations is, for example, remember the movie Can't Hardly Wait? Remember that movie? That teen movie from 1998? Well, that movie, that house, Gollum. The house from that movie is probably about 5-10 minutes away from where I'm standing right now. Okay, and I happen to think that that's a great movie. I happen to think it's one of the best teen high school movies of the 90s, but alas, I'm getting sidetracked because we are here for E.T. We are here to phone home. And then this happened. That's right, I met Henry Thomas, the star of E.T. And I'm really sorry that I didn't have my camera filming at this moment, but it was amazing.
"5 years now, we're all movie industry people, so we go away a lot and we work and we come back, and we're, you know, we're old guys that rock."
And you rock very well. So when is your, I know you're working on your EP, so what's...
Yeah, we're working on a full album and we're almost finished with it, but you know, we've still got a lot of things we want to do, so rather than rush it, we're just taking our time with it, because, I mean, we don't even have a Instagram account. we're not with the times.
All right. I was teasing them. I'm like, you guys need to get on Instagram and Twitter. Okay, but you're on Facebook. At least you did that.
We're on Facebook.
You're
yeah,
there.
you can find us at Facebook. Look for Far Speaker.
And there you are.
You can hear some of our music on there.
And what other types of places do you guys play out?
We play a lot in LA. We play a gig at the State Social House on Sunset, kind of on the tail end of the Sunset Strip, and we play a lot in East LA, Silver Lake, those kind of areas.
Yeah. Awesome. right, I'm totally sweating my butt off up here. I'm sorry.
It's hot.
It's hot. You're doing just fine. So, I feel like my 12-year-old self should be interviewing you. I'm so excited.
Let's hear your 12-year-old question.
I feel like so. What kind of girls do you like? That would be like my question. That would be my question. Like, do you have any girlfriend? Could I be your girlfriend? That would be my question.
Erica Liniak. No,
right? Because she's gorgeous. And then
No,
like,
that
it was
was
so
the girl-
romantic with the frogs.
That was, that was a girl I rescued when I was rescuing the frogs.
Okay, so let's start from your audition, which you guys can find online. It's amazing. He's brilliant. Were you 9 in that audition?
Yeah, I was 9 years old. I had done one film before, and I got an interview with Steven Spielberg and a chance to audition.
Did you know who he was? Like,
Yeah, I did, because I had seen Raiders of the Lost Ark, which was a big film, and of course, Jaws. I wasn't allowed to see Jaws at the time, but everyone knew who Steven Spielberg was. He just wasn't as famous as he is now.
All right. Okay. So you weren't necessarily nervous, or were you?
I was very nervous.
Okay.
Sure. Yeah, I was nervous.
You weren't just like whatever director.
I had done one film before. I grew up on a farm in Texas. I didn't know the film industry. My parents weren't film people, so I was just kind of, pretty much picked out of a crowd from the first onset of my film career, which was a film called Raggedy Man.
Ragged Man?
Raggedy Man.
Oh, Raggedy Man.
Sissy Spacek and Sam Shepard, shot in Texas, 1980. I got the part in 1979, and then 1980 came around and we did it, and then...
But that's so weird because you're like 25. How did that happen?
Thanks.
Okay, so actually, ironically, Keith Coogan is here, who was also apparently up for the part, and you guys were describing Steven Spielberg's office, which I thought was amazing. Can you share with us what that atmosphere was like and what it was like to...
Yeah, this was 1980, 1981, and his office was completely filled with, console video games, like an arcade. So for a kid, you come into his office, the only thing you want to do is go and play video games. And Keith was saying that he feels that he missed out on getting the part because he wasn't focused enough on the work. He wanted to play the video games.
Keith's over there laughing. But you were obviously, but you were very focused. You were like, centipede.
I had an in because Spielberg at the time that I was working on Raggedy Man, he was working on Poltergeist, and they were both Universal films. And so the editing bays for Poltergeist and Raggedy Man were across the hall from each other. And the editor that was working on Raggedy Man heard through the grapevine that Spielberg was looking for a kid, and he put together with the director of Raggedy Man, Jack Fisk, he put together a clip, and that got me the audition.
Wow,
Yeah.
that's fate. So you've got little Drew on the set with you, and PT, of course.
Yes.
So what was the set atmosphere like? What was it like working with an alien?
Yeah, it was great. It was, we filmed it here in LA, we filmed in Northridge, we filmed at Laird Studios, which is now burned down, but they filmed Gone with the Wind there. And they were filming The Sword and the Sorcerer. If you're a sci-fi or a fantasy film geek, do you remember that? Yeah. Sword and the Sorcerer? Yeah. I used to see those guys in the commissary for lunch. Their outfits. Wow, why aren't I working on that movie?
And then E.T. like blows everything out.
I was 9 though, so.
Yeah, you're like whatever. Okay, so what was like some of the fun things that would? What was some of the fun things? What were some of the fun things that would happen on set? Like, what are some memorable moments?
I guess the most memorable moment on the set was Halloween. We spent Halloween on the set, and Steven Spielberg dressed up like an old lady, and he came to set, and he was in a really great disguise because people didn't really recognize him. And he directed the whole day like that. Yeah. That was pretty fun.
And you're like, he's the best, he's the
Yeah.
kid. All right, and then E.T., you were talking about it earlier. I didn't know that. It made $1 million a day?
Yeah, it was in theaters for a year, and then they re-released it 3 years later, and again, it made a lot of money, and they just kept doing that for a few years in a row. And they still release it. They released it like 10 years ago, I think.
And then there's Netflix and Amazon Prime and Street
Yeah.
Food Cinema. Whatever.
This is all right.
Yeah.
So you get to relive it on the big screen.
Well, the funny thing was that one of the promotional campaigns back in the day, in '81, were all these little buttons that said "E.T. lives" with an exclamation point, because the studio and the filmmakers were worried that the film would, I guess, it was so sad that it would bum everyone out. That they thought they would pass these little buttons.
But we're not sure, are we? We're not sure what happens in the movie.
Oh, it's like a spoiler alert?
Yeah. Henry. We're not sure what happens.
I don't want to ruin anything for you, but it gets dicey there. Some bad stuff happens in the third act.
I know.
Just keep your hanky close.
Right.
And cross your fingers, because everything could be okay.
Miracles happen.
So, and then for years afterwards, I mean, you had an amazing career. And when did you get into music?
I have. I've had.
You
amazing-
have!
Oh, wow.
Legends of the Fall. I mean,
Yeah,
I feel like I should be rattling off
I'm
more.
I'm still working. It's funny because you don't ever really think about it. You're just doing things day to day, and then eventually 30 years later you're sitting in a chair and somebody's going, "Hey, remember when you were 10 and you're doing that thing?"
But I think it's a blessing to be in such an iconic movie, and that it
For
does
sure,
resonate
yeah.
with people. Generation after generation. How many of you brought your children here tonight because it means something to you? Because you want them to share the experience of E.T.?
Yeah, no, I think it's a great film to be associated with for sure, because it's a good message. It's about compassion. I think we can always appreciate that.
Yeah, definitely. Well, any closing thoughts before we get into E.T.?
You guys rock. Thanks very much. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it. I hope you enjoy the film. Still, after all these years.
Gets me every time, guys. Gets me every time. Hey, guys. So I'm just gonna wrap this up by killing the light, right? There we go. So just got out of the outdoor screening of E.T. I still say it, what my 5-year-old self said the first time I saw this. This is not a movie, it's an experience. There's really no words for how this movie affects me. It's like art. Everyone has that thing that affects them like this. Anyway, this movie is the reason I do this video. And now, this is the part of the video where huge thank yous are in order. First and foremost, a huge thank you goes out to 2 people. My wife, Jamie, for surprising me with this and taking me to this. Okay? Secondly, to the best mother-in-law a guy could ever ask for. Okay? For paying for this. Other thank you goes out to Robert and Bianca McNaughton. Thank you both so much for telling Henry about me. And on that note, a thank you, huge thank you goes out to the star of E.T., Mr. Henry Thomas. You were amazing. It was wonderful meeting you in person. I never thought that would even happen. Thank you all for following me on this journey. And if you haven't already, please subscribe. You ain't seen nothing yet. it subscribes, it shares this video, and it has a great day. It likes it, and it leaves some comments. Thank you guys, and I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.